consider this a bit of an experiment, a podcast experiment, where I'm just going to record what I think about Fantasia. And I think I'll divide it into kind of different days and really just see what comes together. My name is Justine Smith, and this is for Beyond the Film Festival. This is going to be our third year covering Fantasia, and long before I even knew what CUTV was, Fantasia was my favorite film festival. Not only was it my favorite, but it was actually my first as well. I had never been to a festival before Fantasia, and to this day, I've been to TIFF, I've been to Festival du Nouveau Cinéma. I'm going to be going to Switzerland to see films in Locarno for the first time, and I still think years from now, even decades, that Fantasia will always have a special place in my heart. It's far more than a festival for me. It is like a family. It's a community of really awesome people who are passionate about awesome and awful things. It's just fantastic. I don't really have words to kind of describe the atmosphere that this festival has. It's so inclusive, it's so warm, it's so open. It's just fantastic. You really have to come if you've never been. So this is day one of the 19th edition of the Fantasia Film Festival. I've been going since 2009, so this is actually my 6th year. This is day one. We're about an hour and a half from the first film of the day, and by the time this goes up, the first day will be more than over, so I suppose that context isn't that important. This year, the festival just really looks incredible. Unfortunately for me, last year was kind of a bust. I had an abscess, which is the most Fantasia-esque medical ailment humanly possible, growing on my tailbone, so I couldn't really attend very many screenings, barely any at all. I could barely sit. It's kind of a funny curse that what I love to do most in the world is watch movies, and I got a really, really painful thing that made it nearly impossible to do that. But this year is going to be different. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be about new discoveries, new people, new opportunities. So going into day one, I picked up my badge earlier today, and as always, everyone is so nice. It's almost painful. Like, that's one of the things I love about Fantasia. It's not like this meat market of business. It's really just so many cool people on every level. Like, from the bottom up, everyone is so nice. And preparing my first day of viewing, at least in theaters, I've already started. I've seen a couple screeners. There's at least one film I've seen already that I'm so excited to have a chance to see with a crowd as well, Nina Forever. It's a feature debut from the Blaine brothers. Highly recommended. Some people saw it already at South by Southwest. It's a really dark comedy about a 19-year-old paramedic in training who falls, or not really falls in love, but has a passionate crush on her coworker at the grocery store. But her crush is really founded in the wrong place. She finds him passionate and intense because he tried to kill himself. And he tried to kill himself because his girlfriend died in an awful accident. The film really kind of amps up the pressure of new relationships, just the normal fears that everyone has. And Holly in particular, this is going to be her first real relationship. It's not the first time she had sex, it's not the first time she had a boyfriend, but it's the first time things get really serious. But it's also kind of that almost never explored issue of how do you deal with someone's baggage when the person that they are no longer with is dead. This is not an issue of ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, divorcees, people being abandoned. No, she died. And if she hadn't, they would have likely still been together. And kind of amping up the kind of macabre aspect of the whole thing is the fact that every time Holly and Rob the protagonist, the dude, he's not really the protagonist, but whatever, the guy, have sex, the ex-girlfriend Nina, her bloodied, mangled corpse appears in the bed and kind of interjects rudely, hilariously, darkly. It's an incredibly unique film.
Cinderella.
Surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, pretty sexy.
Oh yeah, she's back.
And lots of fun. I highly recommend it. Surprisingly, it's not sold out, I guess, because there's not really any big names attached, but it's like absolutely fantastic.
I got some good news to tell you.
So that really is the
You're breaking up with him.
big
Thank God. Him to be cheating on
film
you
so
like
far that
Wait,
I've
wait,
seen.
What?
You didn't know?
And today I'm hoping to see Tangerine, which has already made a lot of waves.
Her name
And
starts with a
it's
D.
incredibly popular. Everyone's talking to me about it.
She's some white fish.
From the
That's
subject
it.
to its issues of
Yeah,
representation,
bitch, like a real fish, girl, like vagina
and the fact that it was shot on an iPhone. It's pretty awesome. And as someone who obviously is interested in community and kind of the inclusivity of media, or else I wouldn't be a CTV host. I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that you can make an incredibly beautiful looking movie using the barest essentials. And not that beauty is the most important thing about storytelling, but it's certainly part of it, and it's certainly why people kind of gravitate towards more expensive and more exclusive equipment, when really, if you have a vision, if you have an idea, and if you have a passion, I think you can make what you have work. And I'm hoping Tangerine kind of represents that. And I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty sure that it will.
Talk to me.
Also going forward to Fantasia, there's going to be so many movies to see. Like I hardly even know where to begin. There should be another video or series of videos maybe where I kind of highlight some recommendations.
And that's it.
Let's see what we have here. I have Anguish, which is another feature debut. I'm so sorry I'm mangling this name, but it's Sani Malhi. Anguish is another it's another feature debut, and the thing that kind of has me on the fence is I don't normally like films that deal with psychological or mental health issues as kind of the root of horrific situations, but the press surrounding the film and even the trailer itself kind of makes me think that maybe this might be an exceptional case that gets it right. The trailer seems genuinely frightening and features images and impressions of a worldview that I've never really seen. So in that respect, I'm super excited for this movie, even though I have doubts. I have some serious doubts, but most of them have to do with content. I don't want to judge before I see it, and I'm actually think that I might end up loving it. Another film I'm super excited to see is Crumbs. The thing that always got me about Crumbs is I first came across it looking at the program for Rotterdam, which I didn't go to Rotterdam, but I was looking at the production thing. And it's this really bizarre image of a windmill decorated with plastic bottles. A woman in the foreground wearing this, I think is beautiful, but kind of torn apart dress. And barely visible on the horizon is this kind of floating city or a floating UFO. And from that moment, I was super excited to see it. And the person I was talking to, and the reason I was looking at the Rotterdam, I kind of insisted they go watch it, because it's rare that I see something that looks so intriguing, so beautiful. And just the more I learned about this movie, the more I want to know about it, the more I want to read about it. So it's set in a distant future where almost all of human history has been erased in one form or another. And kind of based on finding different artifacts in the 20th century, a new religion kind of takes place built around these relics. Or they become relics. I'm sure they're generally pretty mundane objects. And at the center of the story, you have Candy, who is kind of like a garbage picker. He's kind of he's tired of his routine of salvaging objects from this bygone civilization. So he kind of goes on a quest, and I love heroes' journeys. Joseph Campbell, and everything like that. So just the beginning, you have a very unusual character in a very unusual situation who, tired of what his life is, decides to better himself or decides to see more of the world or to have a better understanding. And so he goes on this quest to kind of conquer his fears, but also to find out what the giant floating UFO is. So that sounds pretty awesome. And I'm super pumped that Fantasia this year is featuring several African films because it's a huge blind spot for me, and I'm sure it's a huge blind spot for other people. It's going to be awesome. One of the other films I'm so excited for is Marshland. I've only recently heard about it, even though apparently it's one of the most awarded films in Spanish film history. And that's super weird and super unusual because it's a genre film. And usually, like, you have prestige films or epics or dramas that kind of sweep award systems, award shows. Not like a gritty police drama. So the film is set in 1980, where two police officers, so I'm imagining it as a buddy comedy, but I don't really think it is. It's more like True Detective. That's what I've heard. It's like the Spanish True Detective. They're sent to a small forgotten town in the marshlands to investigate the murder of two girls. The film is very crucially kind of set in the shadow of the dictatorship. Obviously, it had been dissolved at that point, but the country was still recovering and is arguably still recovering now. Everything about it looks like the images, the trailers, the story, it just appeals to me on such a primal level. And I'm sure other people feel the same. I mean, people are still watching True Detective, right? I'm super excited to see that one. My goodness, there's so many great films. It's like just to narrow down to like a few is nearly impossible. I'm gonna like really stick there just because movies like Turbo Kid or even like Attack on Titan and other stuff, like they don't really need my support because I feel like they have a huge audience already. Like they sold out incredibly fast. Doesn't mean I'm not excited for them. Yeah. So this is the first episode of whatever this is. Maybe it will be cut up into little things. I don't know. But it's a test. It's an experiment in ego. And we'll see what happens. Thank you. And hopefully see you again. Or you'll listen to me again. This is... Yeah.
Ja, das ist